Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are back with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links action, and as you could tell by the title and the thumbnail, today we are going to be talking about probably the most consistent KC Cup deck in the last little bit. Hold on. Thunder Dragons. This deck is, again, incredibly versatile. As I mentioned in my previous video about the KC Cup top decks being Ritual Beasts. But it's very similar to Ritual Beast in that, while it has been nerfed quite a bit more than something like Ritual Beast, it's still incredibly consistent and has consistently seen tops in the KC Cup, and it's just overall really solid. What kills it in competitive is the fact that it has a lot of heavy counters in the side deck, but not things that are main deck worthy, right? So if you're not playing with a side deck in best 2 out of 3s, but you're instead playing best of 1s with no side deck against a million different people, most of the time you're not going to see the counters to this card, right? Things like Necro Valley, things like Lancia, right? Things like Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, right? All of those cards basically don't exist in regular standard play, and so this deck is incredibly powerful. So let's quickly talk about the deck. First of all, we're obviously taking Destiny Draw. This skill's insane. And with that, we're pairing, obviously, Sphere Karibo. I mean, Destiny drawing for any of these cards is really solid. Charge of the Light Brigade, incredibly good. Melody of the Awakening Dragon, allowing you to get either Levianeer or Odd-Eyes Advanced Dragon. Adding a Hawk or a Roar or a Duo or something like that. Even adding a Sphere Karibo isn't that bad. So all of these cards are pretty good to Destiny Draw. There you go. It's good. You could also play something like Drawsense Speller Trap, which is also adding to the consistency, and since you're only needing to take 1,000 life points, you're a lot more likely for that to happen. Right? Anyway, moving on, we have... Let's just do the card by card, okay? Odd-Eyes Advanced Dragon, if you tribute it with a level 5 or higher monster, you can use 1 tribute instead, and if it's tribute summoned, you can non-target, destroy a monster your opponent controls, and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that monster's original attack. Really solid, because it non-target, destroys a monster, it's a 3,000 body, it's basically Levianeer without requiring the graveyard setup. So, really solid card. And then, of course, inflicting burn damage is always pretty nice in Duel Links. Then we have Chaos Dragon Levianeer. This card's insane. If you banish only lights, you can special summon a monster from your graveyard in defense position. It does require either 3 lights and or darks in the grave to banish in order to get these effects. If you banish only darks, though, you can shuffle a random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. And if you banish both light and dark, you can destroy up to 2 cards on the field. That's the effect that most of the time gets brought up and gets used because of the fact that it, again, non-target destroys. Insane card. You probably knew what this did. Dragonhawk. Dragonhawk is incredible. You discard it to special summon a Thunder Dragon monster from your banished pile or your graveyard. Really solid. Also, all the Thunder Dragons have an effect that is activated when it's discarded, and an effect that's activated when it is sent from the field and or banished. So, what are these effects? First of all, you saw that one. And then the second one is, if this card is banished, you can shuffle cards from your hand into the deck, and then draw the same number of cards. So, say you have a bunch of darks that you don't need because you've already utilized their effect, you can shuffle them back into the deck to draw new cards, like potentially a Sphere Karibo, or maybe something like Raiden. That will just help you get your combos started. Then we have Dark. Discard a card, add a Thunder Dragon, or discard the card to add another Dark, right? You just replace it. However, the reason this is so good is because it allows you to get fodder for things like Hawk, things like Duo, things like Levianeer. Getting this into the graveyard is incredibly powerful. On top of the fact that when it is banished and or sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add any Thunder Dragon card. That's really solid, getting you access to your entire deck, basically. Really solid, definitely worth it. Definitely need to play 3. Then we have Sphere Karibo, as I've mentioned, and 1 singular Thunder Dragon Duo. Why are we only playing 1? Well, it kind of is the boss monster, but most of the time it's just used to get another level 8 body onto the field, or just a big attacker onto the field for lethal pushes. And basically, it's good to have on the field because once per turn, during your opponent's end phase, you can target one of your banished cards, place it on the top or bottom of the deck. It allows you to recycle your cards, potentially get like a Hawk top deck, or a Sphere Karibo potentially, or, you know, you can return something that you might want to search for later. And it also has a second effect where if a monster effect is activated in the hand, it goes up to 3100 attack, pretty solid. And if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, banish a card, and then add a Thunder monster from your deck to your hand. Again, solid, but it's not really used for anything other than that 2800 stat line. And the fact that it banishes a Light and a Dark. Moving on, we have Roar. You can banish, or you can discard this in order to add back one of your banished or in the graveyard Thunder Dragon monsters. So, or Thunder Dragon cards. So, you could even add back 100 Thunders if you wanted to. Really solid. Allows you to get back a Hawk. Allows you to get back a Dark if need be. Allows you to get back Duo to summon it again. Again, really solid. Also, just allows you to get a Dark into the grave and recur one of your banished cards. Really solid. Also, if it is destroyed or banished, you can special summon a Thunder Dragon monster from your deck in defense position. This one's really solid. Say you were to special summon this with the effect of Hawk onto the field, then you tribute over with a lot of your tribute summonable monsters, like your Odd Eyes, your Dark, your Hawk, anything like that. You're then able to special summon another Thunder Dragon monster and potentially go into a pretty solid XZ. Something like Ptolemy, something like Keeper of Armageddon, anything like that. Then, of course, we are playing the Lightsworn package to mill cards because we want a lot of cards in the graveyard, and Melody of the Awakening Dragon. This card, really solid. Play it. It allows you to get to Levianeer, as well as Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, both of which are really solid. And finally, we have 100 Thunders. This card says target a Thunder-type dragon, or a Thunder-type monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then you can special summon as many monsters with that same name as possible from your graveyard. The monsters special summoned by this effect are banished when they leave the field. Do keep that in mind. Also, while they are face up on the field, you cannot special summon monsters except Thunder-type monsters, meaning if you do end up summoning something like a Dark or something like that, you can't XZ summon, you can't Synchro summon, you can't even summon something like Levianeer or Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon without tributing them off. You literally have to tribute them off or have your opponent destroy them for you. Those are the only two ways to deal with them, basically. I mean, yes, technically you could just like summon up Duo or like summon up Hawk or something like that and then push for game that way, but most of the time it's just better to tribute for them and then get other effects to go for like Levianeer or Odd Eyes or anything from the extra deck. As for the extra deck, we are playing Vermilion Dragon Mech. We do have a 4 and a 5. That's basically the only one that we need. We're basically just playing Charge of the Light Brigade and the Raiden for mills. And because it's a light. Then here, this should probably be Zombie Stein, but I don't have Zombie Stein, so what do you gotta do? Instead, we're playing Puppet Giant Grinder. Jeez, I'm crow, that was hard to say. Then we have the Hieratic Sun Dragon. Then we have Ptolemy and Force Focus for our level 6s. These are the rank 8s, sorry. Rank 6s, rank 8s. Rank 5, we have our Keeper of Armageddon and Malevolent Sin, just in case you do happen to have 2 Raidens on the field for some reason. It happens sometimes. It's still nice to have a way to get them basically off of the field and into the grave. So, there you go. Let's check out the deck list and see how it works. Alright, so here we are going first up against Harpies, and now, Thunder Dragons don't have the most formidable boards going first. It's mostly the fact that they are able to survive going first, and then really do well on the crackback. So, here, we're going to normal summon the Raiden, we're going to mill 2, we're going to mill Not the Greatest, and then we're going to activate Dark's effect and set the 100 Thunders. Now we have a Sphere Karibo and 100 Thunders on the field, or to protect us, basically. And it's going to get popped, but we're just going to summon up our Dark and then sit on that. Now, one thing I do need to mention, there's a reason I'm not immediately firing this Dark in order to search for the second Dark, or the third Dark, sorry. And that is because only one effect from each of your Thunder Dragon monsters can be used per turn. So, if, for example, this card does end up getting destroyed or banished or something like that, I would be able to activate that effect, but I wouldn't be able to then discard it and add another Thunder Dragon card, or a Thunder Dragon Dark, right? So, all in all, it makes more sense to just hold this Dark until potentially this card dies or something like that. However, they end up attacking into our Raiden, and we activate Sphere Karibo. Then we are going to activate the effect of Dark during the end phase, and then... So, as I'd mentioned previously, this card says, Thunder-type monsters are the only monsters that can be special summoned after activating this effect, right? So while these monsters, while this monster, this Dark, was on the field, the only thing I could special summon was a Thunder type. Meaning, even if I tried to get it off of the field for a Synchro Summon, I still wouldn't be able to special summon this card. So, what I end up having to do is I have to Tribute Summon over it for the Dark, right? And then I can now special summon. However, also Tribute Summoning means that it goes to the graveyard, and now I'm able to get a search with our Thunder Dragon Dark. Pretty solid. Now we have Duo in the hand, and we also have Charge of the Light Brigade. So we're going to go into Vermilion Dragon Mech, and we're going to get flipped face down with Book of Moon. Then we are going to activate Charge of the Light Brigade, we're going to add back our Raiden, and we're going to banish 2 for the effect of Thunder Dragon Duo. Then we're going to special summon a Hawk, and return the Raiden in order to grab up a Levianeer. And there's Treacherous Trap Hole. They are going to deal with our entire board, and now we're stuck. Hopefully, they don't have lethal. Fantastic. And we ended up drawing into this second Levianeer. So we are going to banish 3. We're going to get a search as well off of Dark's effect. We're going to then also pop 2 of their cards, non-targeting, by the way. And it was a Swallow's Nest, which didn't have any effect, basically. We're then going to activate our... Sorry, this is going kind of fast. We're going to activate our Roar that we ended up searching to add the Hawk. Hawk is then going to activate to special summon back the Duo, which can be special summoned after it has successfully been special summoned. So you can activate Hawk's effect after special summoning this by banishing monsters in order to summon it back onto the field. Really solid. Now we've got 2 level 8s on the field, and we're going to banish 3 more times to go into the the second Levianeer. That's 3 level 8s, and that's well over lethal on field, because this one can attack. Our first one that activated its effect cannot, because... Where is it? You can activate one of the effects, apply the following effects based on the attribute of the monster banished for the special summon. Also, this card cannot attack for the rest of this turn. So if you do end up activating the effect of the monster, of Levianeer, I should say, it can't attack, but you can still special summon as many as you want. So there you go. And here we are going first up against Melodious. Now, again, going first really sucks here, but it's fine. We ended up with a Dark. It's fine. We have a Sphere Karibo. We're fine. We're going to activate Dark and just hope. Hey, it's Melodious. They're playing... they have the Ostinato, which means they're going to go into Bloom Diva. I'm going to send a Dark to the grave again to search another Dark. And then they're going to go for another Fusion Summon. Now, they go into the Melodious Maestra, Schuberta, and I'm going to Sphere Karibo that 100%. I don't want to take lethal damage, because this says during either player's turn, you can target up to 3 cards in the graveyard, banish them, and then it gains 200 attack for each card banished, meaning it boosts up to 3,000, so if I let that attack go through, they could have killed me. Now, here they make a very poor decision. They do not immediately banish my Darks. What they should have done is, during their turn, they should have banished those 2 Darks, because I wasn't able to activate their effects. As I said, you can only use 1 effect per turn. So, they didn't banish the Dark, meaning now I'm able to get the effect of a Dark once again. But we only have 3 Darks in the grave. As you could see, we had the Sphere Karibo, the other Dark, and the first Dark, which I have now summoned. Meaning, if we were to summon Levianeer off of that effect, we would only be able to shuffle a random card from the opponent's hand, which there is none, into the deck. So instead, we are going to activate Hawk. They still haven't activated the effect to banish anything. And then we are going to summon Levianeer, meaning all of our cards are banished, and we get the effect of our Dark. Then they are going to activate Treacherous Trap Hole. They are going to target 2 of our monsters and destroy them, and we are going to destroy these 2 because they can be destroyed. Then Bloom, Diva, the Melodious Choir is going to stay on the field, but everything else is going to be destroyed. We're then going to roar for our Hawk and then just end the turn. They end up top decking a Mystical Space Typhoon, but we're just going to 100 Thunders. We're going to summon it back this roar, and then its effect is going to activate when it is destroyed to summon up our Hawk. We also are going to take that 700 burn damage, but it's not going to end up mattering all that much. We're going to activate Charge of the Light Brigade. We're going to search up our card and banish or send a bunch of cards to the graveyard. We're then going to summon off the Hawk's effect, the Roar, and then Tribute Summon for the second Hawk. The reason I'm doing this is because I need 2 level 6s in order to go into Ptolemy. Constellar Ptolemy. This card is the only out that we have to that card in particular, Bloom Diva, because it can't be destroyed by card effect or battle, so we have to return it to the deck. So we end up doing that and then attacking him for 2700, and Melodious with a single card can't really do anything, even if it is something like a Necro Fusion. So there you go. We actually beat Melodious. Alright, so here we are up against Balance, Triamids going second. Once again, I don't like Triamids. I've said this a lot. I don't like them. They're not very fun to play against. But here we are. Immediately we're going to activate this Dark. Although also this hand is killer. Having a Dark in hand really sets up this hand. But also Charge of the Light Brigade is insane. And milling cards is really good. Anyway, they're going to get all of their effects. They're going to do a whole bunch of things and try a midfield. Yeah, this is very fun. We're going to activate Charge of the Light Brigade. We're going to mill a whole bunch of cards and grab up our Raiden. We also now have this card right here, the Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, which non-target destroys, but they're going to quickly tag out their field spell for the one that protects them from card destruction. So Fortress is going to come onto the field, and we're not going to be able to destroy anything with card effects. Honestly, not that big of a deal, but it is kind of annoying. Then we are going to banish 2 cards for our duo. We're going to activate the effect of Roar. We're going to summon up our Hawk, and then it's going to be returned during the end phase. However, they're going to activate a whole bunch of effects. They're going to add the Cruiser, or sorry, activate the Cruiser from the deck, send the Cruiser for the King Golem once again, and then they are going to search up the Sphinx, all during the battle phase where I cannot respond to any of this. Since no monsters have changed, I cannot redeclare an attack, meaning 100% of the time they are going to get that Sphinx onto the field. However, it doesn't end up mattering all that much because I have 2 really high attack point monsters, and they only have the 1, meaning no matter what, our guy is going to be alive, we're going to survive, and yeah, we're good. We're going to activate Dark during the end phase, and then we're going to activate Duo's effect to put the Roar on the bottom of the deck. We're going to then activate Hawk's effect in order to summon up this Dark. We are then going to normal summon the Raiden that we searched last turn in order to go into the Vermilion Dragon mech. The reason we're doing this is because we need to bait out the second field spell that protects from destruction of cards, of card effects. And then we are going to try to target the field spell to get rid of it, forcing them to go into the Triamid Fortress. Now, this was incredibly bad for me. I shouldn't have actually targeted the field spell. What I should have done is I should have targeted the monster, forcing them to 100% go into Fortress. However, I was pretty confident that they were going to go into Fortress anyway, seeing as how they literally have gotten all 3 of their King Golems. They've gotten 2 of their cruisers and 2 Triamid Fortresses, which means they probably are only playing that 1 other fortress on the field. So I was going to go for it anyway. Now we can actually go into this Levianeer and pop 2 cards, except we can only pop 1 because the rest of the monsters are protected from card destruction. However, that doesn't matter. The main point was to get rid of this Triamid Fortress, which does protect him. Then we can go into the Hieratic Seal. We are going to then tribute the 2 monsters that we have in hand to deal with 2 of their monsters. We're then going to attack for almost lethal, 200 shy. I don't know if I could have done that a little bit better, but there was nothing that we could do. There's also nothing that they could do at that point. They don't have a field spell. They don't really have a way to get to a field spell. And Triamid Dancer alone can kind of just get walked over by any of our monsters and we just win. And the fact that we also had 100 Thunders sitting in the back means that we're basically just guaranteed that win. And they surrender. And here we are going second up against Red Eyes, actually. You might be surprised, but honestly, the new Red Eye support makes the deck really solid as a rogue tier or just for fun strategy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does pop up quite a bit during the KC Cup. It's not going to be the most common, but do look out for it. Anyway, we ended up going for a a dark, and we drew a second dark for a turn, which is really depressing, by the way. Just drawing the dark. Anyway, we ended up having a hawk already, and we were able to send the dark to the grave. So now we're just going to summon the dark and then tribute summon for the roar that we had in hand. We're then going to banish those two for the duo, and it's DD Warrior, which is kind of weird, but we do end up getting the effect of our roar in order to get an additional hawk to hand, and then deal 2,800. Now, here they are able to activate their Red Eyes Fusion. They're going to send a card from their hand to the deck and then add the Red Eyes Fusion. They're going to then activate the Red Eyes Fusion, go into the Red Eye / Dragon, and I'm not all that upset because we have a Sphere Karibo. They're going to protect themselves with equip themselves with an equip monster, and then we are just going to activate this Sphere Karibo. And then since this guy has survived to the opponent's end phase, we're going to bottom the Thunder Dragon Roar. We're then going to activate Hawk's effect in order to summon out our Dark, and then we are going to see them activate the Red Eye Fang with Chain. Honestly, it doesn't really come up all that much, but Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon is activated onto the field. They're going to take the Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon, which, understandable. Either way, it kind of doesn't matter what they take. They're dead anyway. Again, this card doesn't target, which means it stays away from the effect of Red Eye / Dragon. It's not going to be negated or anything like that. And I think they knew that, but it doesn't matter. We destroy their monster, and because of that burn damage from this effect, we do end up winning. Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon is genuinely an insane card. It's so good in things like Thunder Dragons and Dark Lords, and just anything that can easily special summon a high-level monster. Really solid. I love this card. Anyway, let's get into the deck profile. So, as I already mentioned, this deck is going to be really, really solid for the KC Cup. I don't think it's necessarily the best deck for the KC Cup, but it's one of the best decks for KC Cups in general. However, I expect it to do pretty well, meaning it's probably going to see another nerf of some kind, like, say, another limit of Dark to 2, or something else along those lines, which, if it does get hit with basically anything, even if Levianeer gets hit somehow, it's going to kill the deck. So I wouldn't expect this deck to stick around much longer unless there isn't any nerfs specifically targeted towards this deck. But we'll see. Anyway, I do think that it's a really strong deck. It can put up probably the best boards out of any deck in the entire game right now. Better than, I think, anything except for Dark Lords when they were at their peak. Even now, I'm like, Dark Lords probably don't have the same amount of boards because they can't play a lot of the tech cards as much, and they're not able to search as many cards for better activations of their skills and such. But all in all, just, I mean, if you saw how I was able to deal with that Triamid board, realistically, this is probably one of the very, very few decks that can actually just beat its way, more or less, through a deck like that. And, yeah, Thunder Dragons has probably the biggest inconsistency debuff, but one of the biggest ceilings in terms of its power level. It is incredibly powerful when it's able to get hands with Levianeer, with Thunder Dragon Duo, with multiple cards in the deck or in the grave, with things like Charge of the Light Brigade. You know, having the Odd Eyes Advanced Dragon is also incredibly powerful for a normal summon. And it, as you could see, it had incredible plays. Honestly, one of the best decks to go into the KC Cup with. It's able to win really quickly as well. It's also able to consistently win, as well as it has the highest highs, and there are decks that just straight up won't be able to beat this. It has an out to basically everything, as you saw. Even something like Bloom Diva the Melodious Choir is able to be taken out with our Constellar, which we can get to actually pretty easily. As well as we have things like Force Focus or Malevolent Sin that can also be utilized. So, all in all, really solid deck. I would suggest playing it in the KC Cup. that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links action, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.